Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together. Thank you for joining us. We are still in Rome, and last week we talked about Cleopatra, and we talked about her boo, Julius Caesar. And this week we stayed a little bit more with Julius Caesar. I spent a lot more time talking about Caesar and talking about that transition. I think we referenced it last week, that transition from the Republic and kind of that breaking down of the old Republic into this empire, and what did that mean, and how did that really affect the nature of what Rome became, and then ultimately how it became so big and unwieldy that it eventually collapsed. And we'll talk about the collapse in a couple weeks. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the history year by year.
We've talked about this book before, but we wanted to bring it up again now. We've been using it throughout. Yep. One of the things that's really great about this is we talked about the span of the Roman Empire, and this gives a great sense for our kids. And we don't read everything, but just to kind of show them, like, this is when it started, and then these were things that were going on in other areas, and how some parts of the Roman Empire and the Greek civilization overlapped, and there was stuff going on in ancient China, and right, because it can feel as we're going through ancient,
it's just a serial thing,
that it's all sequential, and it's really not. No. So I think this book is great to help our learners, to help them try to keep a perspective that things were going on at the same time in other areas. So I really like this.
Especially when you're doing your timeline work. It's really cool to do that, because it does feel like sometimes when we do, like when we started Rome, we jumped all the way back to 700 BC. Like it's a long time ago, and Rome is going to go all the way to when it falls in like the 450s AD, and then it doesn't even stop there. It goes all the way to the Byzantine Empire, which doesn't end until like 1400. So like it goes a long time, and it's really amazing to kind of wrap your head around that. And you're right on how many other things are happening at the same time that we're going to be covering later in this whole curriculum when we get to China, right? We got to go back in time. Very similar to what happened when we did the Indus Valley, where we ended with Alexander, and then we went back 5,000 years and said, hey, we got to cover all of India because they did their own thing. It was amazing, right? So another great way to kind of put that in perspective.
Yeah, it's great to be looking at this book and just kind of keeping everything in mind at the same time. So if you don't have this book, I highly recommend it.
Another recommendation, another Usborne recommendation. This is a little bit harder to get in like the library, so you may have to get this one online.
Yeah, you can get
the flat books. Don't tend to be in the library.
No, because they would just get used and abused. Yeah. So this is See Inside Ancient Rome.
But this is more than just any flat book. I mean, this is an Usborne flat book, which means there's a lot here. Like it's not just one or two flaps. There's like 10 flaps on each page.
So I was able to get these used online. I got this one. I got Ancient Greece and Ancient Egypt. And they just have so many like minute details and great information under the flaps. And I think the lift the flap model is neat because it augments what's on every page, because you have the surface layer, and then you get to kind of see further into it and uncover that. And that's really great for our kids who are really naturally curious. So they want to look behind every door, and it's very engaging. I love these books. We have, I don't know, half a dozen of them on different subjects, and they're fantastic. So
I like using these when I'm reading the weekly reader for whatever's going on. And when we are doing like art projects or something, I can read some of these and show while we're doing it, or if she's doing something else while I'm, I don't know, getting something ready. These are really fun books to give to them, because it's very low stakes, and they have that kind of playfulness of like a Where's Waldo, where you're kind of like, there's always something else to see, and you just want to like spend a long time just scanning through it. These are just wonderful. Also really great for younger learners who might be coming along on the journey as well. Really fun, easy way to dive into it.
I think they're great for this first grade. I mean, our daughter is now kind of ending her second grade year as we're doing this, so she's a bit older than the earliest age for this curriculum.
Especially, you're right. Kind of going from that first grade to second grade, there's a lot of maturity and development that happens along that path.
These fun and playful books are just really great.
She still likes these.
Yeah, and our younger daughter, who's only 4, really likes this too. So these are solid.
Another book we've mentioned in the past, The City Through Time. This is such a great book, really showcasing the development of technology and how that impacted cities. And in this book, there is a spread. There's actually 2 spreads of our Rome right around the turn of the millennium, which is kind of in our time period when we're talking about Julius Caesar. We're talking about Mark Antony and Octavian and Caesar Augustus in that transition period. This is a little bit later. They kind of put this in the Trajan period, the kind of the height of the Roman Empire, but still right in that time period, with plus or minus 100 years, right in that time period. So it's really, really cool to kind of see the breakdown of the city, what it looks like.
So they don't cover, there's not, every single civilization isn't covered. So we wanted to definitely show this again because it is one of the times when it comes up.
If we go back, you can say here's like kind of a Greek colony.
So that's what I love about this book. It's not a ton of pages, but you can review this page on Rome, and there's lots of little bits and things to look for. And then you can quickly flip back and go, look how it's changed from this. Look how it's changed from this. Look how it changed from those early villages. And your kids can get a better understanding and appreciation for that evolution of what the city looked like.
And really with the Roman technology and the building, it is hard to appreciate the technological capabilities. And I think we're going to get more into that next week when we talk about the engineering, but just the scale of what they were able to build in that time frame is just mind-boggling. I mean, the technology of building these buildings and the domes and all that stuff is just breathtaking. The scale and the size. So really, really cool. Again, another thing I like about this one, very similar to that one, again, you have that kind of Where's Waldo effect. So you have all these characters up on the top, and your job is to go and find them in all the kind of the cutouts of the city and stuff. Really, really fun. And then they have a nice supplementary page here, which can come into play next week when we talk about engineering, and maybe even into the week with Pompeii with the baths, especially if we get into any of the Stygian baths that are covered there as well. This is a nice page to have ready to go for in about a week or two. So just to let you know that there's that.
Really great.
And then another one right through it, same idea, a street through time. Again, this is a really cool one because less so of that one, which is more of like a snapshot of what those civilizations looked like at that time. This takes just a single strip of land, and it just starts to overlay larger and larger and larger.
A strip of land along a river, and what does it look like as it goes on, which is really cool. And again, this doesn't cover every time period, so we wanted to bring it up. Again, it's going to go into Roman times again.
It has Roman times, and you can see here again the time period is the Trajan time period, so kind of the height of Roman civilization, but still get a nice little window into this time period.
Like, this is cool because like there's a fort on the hill, and
they built a bridge across the river. And
and then in the next ones you're going to see like that same fort area is used for something different. Like, oh, that old Roman fort. Yep. So
you can see how the civilization kind of broke down in that time period in that area of Europe.
Right. So there'll be landmarks and things on this street that will evolve through all the different time periods, and you see how they change.
Yeah, it eventually really gets all the way, I think, into the future. You can even get, Grim Times, 1800s, and then I think they go into the future as well.
Yeah, it goes, here we go. Victorian. It's all the way to the future. So these are cool. What I love about these books,
it's a little hard to find on the shelf. You can see how long it is. It doesn't really fit this way.
It's true.
So you got to stick here, and it kind of sticks out a little bit.
But
put it at the end.
What I like looking at these myself because I'm a really visual person, and I love investing in books like these because we can use them through our whole study of history. I mean, they're just like going to be coming up again and again, which I think is great, and I'm fascinated to look at them too. So absolutely. I don't think that they're going to like time out on us. No. So good investments.
So going into you see the art project right here kind of peeking out from the table. This came from videos that we watched. So we went in, I did a lot of videos on Julius Caesar. I showed some classic soliloquies from Shakespeare plays on that. We did some Mark Antony stuff as well. Talked about the fall of Rome and of the Republic and into the Empire. I did talk a little bit more about Caesar and Gaul, the history quest talked about that as well, with him doing his stuff in France. Big piece of that puzzle, and then obviously ultimately his assassination. So we talked a lot more about that. At the same time, I showed her some clips of Ben-Hur and
the chariot race,
and some clips of I think a little bit of Spartacus as well. So we did the chariot race, which is just a feat of accomplishment for the time. It was just amazing to see. I'll give you the scene, just the chariot race around the Hippodrome, going around and around. It's just an amazing scene, unbelievable. And so that inspired us to make our rolling little chariots here. And we We had little stuffies that were pulling them
Right,
along.
we used Mathy, our math mammoth, mammoth stuffed animal that she does math with. But yeah, these are really terrific.
And these wheels actually roll. Look at this guy.
So it's popsicle sticks that make the base, and then 2 popsicle sticks here at the triangle.
The people were disappointed with the Cleopatra toilet paper thing from last week, and so I had to level up my work.
So then we hot glued everything, and these are just some discs that we got at the store that we hot glued onto this rod.
I've always been afraid of pulling the hot glue gun out because, again, with the young kids, they're going to get burned potentially and everything. But you know what?
You're going to get burned. That's the problem.
I'm going to get burned. I pulled it out, and my daughters were interested in it, and I helped them. And you know what? It really allowed us to do a craft that I normally wouldn't be able to do. And I think I'm going to pull the hot glue gun out more to do more of this type of stuff. Well,
it's a low heat glue gun too, so it's safer. So this
we made 3 of them. All 3 of them.
So so it's got built up popsicle sticks here that have a hole in there so that the axle can move and spin. With a couple of rods and just some extra string we had from Christmas that was left over.
It's perfect for stuffing to go on, and then this actually has got a lot.
And then they put like princesses and stuff like in the chariot, pulled them around. They really enjoyed it.
This was a great project.
It was a great project, made out of small wooden components.
I got all the stuff at Walmart. Yeah, pretty cheap. Got the popsicle sticks pretty cheap. Used my scissors to cut them. The dowels, I think I only had to get 1 or 2 of them. The little round wheels.
It was a really easy project, actually.
Maybe $5-6 to make it all. And I have extra stuff. There's plenty of.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. This is.
We can make more chariots.
This was pennies, really, when you come down to it. And we can do other things with these materials. So that was a really fun way to kind of, bring it all together and give them something fun to play with. I think whenever we can make a craft or something that gives them something to play with, our kids connect with it so much more because there's joy in doing a craft, but they really want to play with it in the end. So this was perfect.
This was right up. You're right. This was right up their alley, and I think they're going to remember this craft more than maybe the toilet paper Cleopatra.
Right.
Much, but they'll remember this one.
It was very unique.
This has had a lot of legs this week. This has had multiple playtimes. Definitely something I would do early in the week so that you can keep bringing it out. One of the cool things is we kept seeing the chariots, and in all the books that we were talking about, all the Usborne books, the larger encyclopedia, the purple book, and then some of the other history books we've been using, they keep referencing the chariots, and I was just like, man, I've got to make a chariot. And I got a nice little. This one got a little stuck. See, a little glue got on there. That was operator error. That was me. This became mine. That doesn't roll. But these were the girls. So. Yeah, we had a good time.
Worked out really well.
This worked really well.
So this was a fun week. We had a good time just kind of digging into it a little bit more.
Next week, we're going to be talking about engineering. And we're going to talk about the marvel of engineering with the Romans.
That's going to be really exciting.
Roads, aqueducts, bridges, all the fun things.
Yeah, the Colosseum. So there's going to be some really fun things to talk about next week. And we're going to get into, we traveled to Rome. Oh gosh, it was now probably like 10 years ago. But we have great pictures of us at the Colosseum and stuff too that we want to show our girls from our trip, and just so they can see kind of what's remaining. And there's tons of videos and things on that material too. So we're looking forward to getting into it.
Thanks for showing up, guys. See you next week.